Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I am Mike, and today we're reviewing SISU. I think I'm saying that right. I don't know. Shit, they don't ever say it in the movie, do they? This will be a spoiler-free review in the beginning of it. Then at the end, I have a couple spoilers I want to talk about, but I'll give you plenty of warning if you haven't seen it yet. This movie is the latest in the line of John Wick-like movies, where dude who is either retired or old or just doesn't look like he could absolutely ruin your entire life with a pencil. A fucking pencil.
Fucking pencil.
But can. It's about a man who's living in the bumfuck middle of nowhere in Finland, trying to avoid the war in 1944, and he strikes gold. So he packs up his horse and he takes his dog with him, and they're going to trade in this gold at a GameStop or a pawn shop or a bank or what have you. And he runs into this group of really shitty Nazis. I don't know a kind of Nazi that's not shitty. You get the idea. Extra shitty Nazis. Nazis with flair. So yeah, the rest of the movie is just them trying to kill him and then him in turn killing the shit out of them. It also has a touch of like Old Man Logan to it, or just that show with Jeff Bridges, The Old Man. It's the exact same idea. It's like, that guy doesn't look like anything. He looks like he's here for some Pepperidge Farm. The movie's directed by Jalmari Helander, whose name I'm probably butchering to shit. He's the director of Rare Exports, and it stars Jorma Tomiya, whose name I'm totally butchering to shit, and I'm sorry. So they kind of have like a Finnish Rob Zombie sort of thing going on there as far as working together on their projects. The movie overall is just a total mixed bag. It just really is. And I don't give a fuck what genre you say this is. Yeah, sure, it's an action movie. It's war, but it's more war horror than anything, though. I mean, if you slap a Michael Myers mask on this dude, it's a slasher movie, just point blank. Only he's the good guy. The kills and the gore of this movie are really insane. I mean, they really do some cool stuff with the kills, and the movie is gnarly as hell. I mean, knives going through temples, you've got landmines doing some really, really gnarly shit to people. One particular scene involving a very large animal that just the special effects department grossed me out. You guys did an amazing job with this film, and it's new stuff you haven't seen before. Pretty cool ideas that they've got in this. The action scenes are also well done, minus one particular scene, which I'll get to when we talk about the spoilers, that happens later in the movie. But there's no like John Wick crazy technical stuff going on here. It has its little moments of some pretty cool stuff, but it's nothing on that level as far as the choreography and all that stuff goes. But still, nicely made action sequences. There's some genuinely fucking rad moments that feature a tank in the most realistic way I've maybe ever seen it. It was really cool, and it actually scared me a little bit and caught me off guard. And the movie's absolutely beautiful. The cinematography is gorgeous, and how they shot, you know, the gorgeous country of Finland, but mixed it in with like the dark disgustingness vibe that's going on with the war and everything. It provides a really cool look. It honestly looks kind of like a grimy version of a Christopher Nolan movie. It's that impressive. The movie really does work well as just kind of a mindless, entertaining, gore-filled explosion movie. It works well in that regard, but still, it feels like there's just something missing, and I can't put my finger in exactly what it is. Yes, I said put my finger in exactly what it is. But I think that there's no emotional connection, mainly because the main guy, the guy that you're following, doesn't actually speak. He doesn't talk in the movie, and there's no preamble. Like, when you have a movie like John Wick, yeah, he barely ever speaks, but you're naturally already connected to it because it's Keanu fucking Reeves, you know what I mean? And you also got to see this touching story of what happens to him. We hear about where this guy came from, and we hear about it, but they don't show it to us. So when you're watching it, you almost feel disconnected from the action and stuff that's happening on screen. Whereas with other movies like this, sometimes it takes them a step beyond when you actually really get into and care about what's happening to your hero. There's some super fun set pieces here, and the way it's all laid out, it kind of also feels sort of Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez-ish, and they do chapters on the screen where it's like chapter 1's this and chapter 4 is like the minefield. Watch this guy get through each of these sections of insane moments where nobody could actually get through it, and where sometimes the movie works when he pulls it off believably by having to do some MacGyver shit or just some crazy Action Jackson shit, or he has to do the horror version of another way it's a horror in like a survival film, like a movie like Ready or Not, where she goes through absolute hell to get out of there, and where she's climbing with the nail and things like that. It's horrific in that way too, because sometimes he has to do gnarly things to himself, or Saul, to get out of the situation he's in. It works when it's believable. One of the main problems the movie's gonna have, though, is that some of the stuff's just not believable. When you're like, I know the human body cannot do that. You know what I mean? Like you see something, it's like either you got so lucky, or I just know the human body can't do that, and there's no way you would have survived that. And as the movie goes on and on, it gets a little less believable as we move. I mean, people thought that Scream 6 was unbelievable with the things people were able to survive. This movie will blow your fucking mind. You ain't seen nothing yet. Bum, bum. And I know it's supposed to be over the top, outlandish, and fun, and I'm good with all those moments, but I can only suspend my belief so far. And it doesn't go too bad. It's not like deep Resident Evil sequel. He's not doing triple double backflips and crazy shit like that. It would have been easier to scale it back, I feel like. And I feel like watching a movie where a guy of his age is actually struggling to do the things he used to be able to do would have been far more believable than this dude just being like, all right, I stretched. I'm just as good as I was when I was young. I'm not as good as I once was, but I was good once. As I ever was. The main bad guy, Bruno, is really good. They're obviously hateable because they're Nazis, so you're going to hate them no matter what, but they do a good job of actually not going too deep into that. Like, he'll roll up on a town that has already had everybody murdered in it, and you'll hear them talking about it. And there's this subplot with these girls that the Nazis have kidnapped that they're just making travel along with them. And you can kind of imagine what's going on there, but they don't actually take you to Rob Zombie Town and show it to you. You get the idea. And I feel like they did a good job of keeping the movie entertaining, but not going too deep into that stuff. When we see people hurt, it's either him, who you know is going to survive it and has killed 17,000 people, or it's the actual bad guys that we're seeing suffer. But the main bad guy, Bruno, is really good. He's got total Mads Mikkelsen, like Bond villain vibes to him. He was really good. Overall, I think SISU does its job as promised, and it delivers some Rambo 4-size gore and some awesome small-scale warfare moments and turns them into Jean-Claude Van Damme hard target type of action set pieces. But I just wish we had a character that had the charisma of a character like Jean-Claude Van Damme had in that movie. And again, that's no knock to the actor. It's hard to ask someone to have charisma if they don't speak. And honestly, I think Jim Carrey said it best in Dumb and Dumber when he said,
"Hey, I guess they're right. Senior citizens, although slow and dangerous behind the wheel, can still serve a purpose."
Don't you go dying on me.
So I'm going to give this movie overall, at the end of the day, a 7 out of 10. It stretched believability. It had amazing action sequences, though. Some awesome gore. Horror fans will love it. And it's got some good old school, like Robert Rodriguez vibes with some Christopher Nolan-esque cinematography. It's a strange movie that touches in a lot of places, but doesn't touch in other places. I don't know what that means, but it sounds sexual, doesn't it? And I definitely recommend it for at least a one-time watch for hardcore action fans or fans of movies with brutal violence or even horror fans. Let's get the hell out of here! So just a couple spoilers I wanted to talk about in this. First off, the minefield scene was badass, wasn't it? How good was that scene? When that horse exploded and he went flying in the air, it scared the shit out of me. I mean, I yipped. And then when he woke up in the way that they had the ribs sticking out and like the horse was just blown to smithereens, that was brutal, and it was beautiful in its own fucked up way. Also, the scenes where he's like stitching himself up there and like doing the Rambo thing and lighting himself on fire, gross. But one of my biggest problems with the movie was the hanging scene. Makes no sense. I mean, he hung there for how long? Just straight up hanging there and didn't die. I mean, I guess we've seen it happen in movies like Strangeland before when Dee Snider came back to life, but it just felt too far to me for sure. And like, had he caught himself on that nail that he was using to stay up for a while before, I'd have been more believable, but he just got hung and like literally died there in front of us. So that was too much for me. Also, there's certain scenes, like I love the scene with the minefields and stuff like that, and the way he had the shield and did like the Wonder Woman thing. I feel like he would have gotten a couple more bullets from that for sure. But man, how funny was it when that leg flew and the leg actually hit the mine? That was just an amazing scene. Another scene I didn't like, though. Well, I'm not going to say I didn't like this scene, but the pond scene where he goes underwater and he's just like, fuck, just sitting there like, okay. And then he pops up real quick and goes back under. When those guys come out there, can you even do that? Like, this is how he stayed alive under the water. When they would send a dude after him, he would slit his throat and like break open his neck and like breathe from that dude's body. and like take his breath from him. But wouldn't just a bunch of blood and also the water filling that up instantly stop you from being able to do that? Or is that a possible thing? I don't even know. I do know that the plane sequence was just over the rails, jump the shark for me. The plane's coming towards him and he takes his pickaxe or whatever and sticks it in a flying plane and flies up into the air. Now, I know we saw Tom Cruise do this, but it was a totally different situation. Pickaxes his way into the goddamn plane. And I love the idea that like his willpower is so strong he can't be stopped or killed. It's a beautiful idea. I really dig that whole thing. This was just too damn much. And then after that fight, which was a good fight scene, you've got, it's nowhere near Christian Slater and John Travolta fighting in Broken Arrow. Just saying, what is though? But when the plane crashes and he just like 23 skidoos his like quick little belt tie there, and the plane doesn't just sort of semi-crash, it doesn't land in water, it fucking goes straight down on its face from the sky to the ground and under the ground. There's no fucking way he would have survived that. That was just too much for me. Like, I thought, I was like, you guys, you had it. It's an old dude fighting like 20 people. It's already cool enough. Like, I don't think you needed to do that. And I felt like it looked a little fake, and it took I know you got the CGI of the plane. It didn't look horrible, but it just took away from the whole thing for me. So those are the moments I'm talking about that I really did not enjoy or was just a little bit confused about. Let me know how you guys feel about it. Comment down below. Hey, thanks for watching this review. I love your all's fucking faces, and more to come. Halloween never ends, suck my fucking dick, and I don't really care what Blumhouse fucking says. Put him in a box, or suck a fucking cock. You can say he's dead, but we all know he's not, yeah. So let's go trick-or-treating, let's go fucking drinking. Let's all go rent Pumpkinhead on VHS. Cause Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, yeah.